is a package of trash bags. I'm going to use my rotary cutter as the easiest way to do this, and just cut off the end piece. And then go through and cut strips. That's pretty nice. You can make the strips however wide or however narrow you want to make them, and they really don't have to be uniform. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. If it's half and half again. So I'm going to cut it and then cut them in half again. So what I'm going to do is take it and tie it. Where are my cut pieces? Take it around, tie it. I've got one whole section done. It's pretty tight. And of course, as you do each section, it'll get fuller and fuller and fuller. And you can still sort of manipulate it a little bit. A little over an hour to do one whole round. It's time consuming, but it could be therapeutic, especially if you're listening to a Hallmark movie that you've seen 12 times. Tie one, push it over. So once you get into a rhythm, it's really pretty easy. And just so you can see, this is only the inside edge of this so far. But I think I'm just going to do the outside row. Remember, that'll bring it out a couple of inches on each side, which makes it a much bigger wreath. And it's got pretty good fullness going just with one row. Here is the first row finished. So you can see that the trash bags really take up almost the entire frame, and that's a pretty cute small wreath. So I'm going to do the outside row now and see where that puts us. And that was about probably 1.5 trash bags worth of strips. So I figured out something that's pretty helpful with being able to maneuver this. It's what you can do, take your strip and loop it through with the wreath with the front side facing down, because it keeps all of your, what you've already done, sort of wrangled together out of your way as you're trying to tie additional strips. So go ahead and tie it and then turn it, flip it to the underside of where you're working, which is actually the front side of the wreath. Okay, so this is what that outside edge is looking like already. So you can see how much bigger it's going to look. So I finished what was the inside row and the outside row. And it looks to me like that's probably going to be full enough. What I'm going to do, because the trash bags can be rather flimsy and move around a lot, what I've done is pretty much secured everything to what is the front and made it so that the back end of the ties are all facing the back of the wreath. The problem with leaving it like this is there's a lot of room for movement, which I wasn't really crazy about, because if they all start to turn, then the front of the wreath doesn't look as full as you want it to look. So with my glue gun on low temp, I am going to run a bead of hot glue. And the reason I'm doing the low temp may seem obvious, and it is. It's to make sure that I don't melt the trash bag as I'm doing this. Now, the outside and the inside ring are both secured on the back. And actually, it gives me a little bit more stability. And when this does move, it's moving more all together, and it makes it easier to sort of flatten it out again. Now would be a good time to go through, and if you want to even everything up, just cut away any pieces that are sticking up. Trash bag pieces themselves can sometimes be uneven. You can call that operator error. You can do the same thing on the inside. All right, now let's flip it over and take a look. It's a little flat right now from being squished on the table, but go through and give it a good fluffing up. And I'd say overall, we have a really good shape to our wreath. So now we can start the fun part, which is deciding how we want to decorate. It's sort of a creepy mouse trap, dead mice kind of thing. So I got these mice at Walmart, and I also got the little mouse traps at Walmart. And although it's kind of gross, it's macabre, so it very much fits the season, right? Cut some pieces of cheese from a big piece of foam, plus a whole lot more mice, and incorporate this Halloween fright tape. I like the one with the orange in it that says warning on it, enter if you dare. FYI, this is 98 cents, and the Dollar Tree version's $1.25 a piece. So you want to make sure you shop around a little bit. I think I'm going to use this as a background to kind of add body to it. And then throughout the wreath, I'll incorporate my other elements like my mice, even woven through the warning ribbon / tape, or pieces of it sticking up, just like you do a traditional wreath. I've decided what I want to do is probably incorporate about 4 loops. I'm going to use pipe cleaners to attach all of this because it'll hold everything in place, but it's fairly easy to remove. Going to take about a 10-inch pass, which is from here to here, and I'm going to bring that up and make my little loop. Then I'm going to take my pipe cleaner and twist that around really tightly to secure it. I'll have a loop that then I can secure onto it. And then I decided probably about a 10-inch pass also before I do my next loop. 10 inches is about there. And then I'm going to do my next 10 inches, keeping my ribbon pretty flat. So from here to here, go ahead and add my pipe cleaner, twist it around. Of course, you can use zip ties. You could probably use tape if you wanted to. This is what we're going for. So that gives us a little bit of body, a little bit of color, and some interest. It's kind of fun, a little kitsch, while at the same time trying to keep with our kind of creepy theme. I love the mesh ribbons. I know people are big fans of using this to put a whole wreath together, which is really the reason why I don't want to use it to put a whole wreath together, mainly because everybody does it. So to do something a little different, I'm using it. I like it with the sparkle. I like the color of it. I like the body of it, but I don't want to make the whole wreath out of it. So I think using a trash bag is much more in keeping with the theme here. Our 4 loops, and I'm going to go ahead and add the next piece that connects it all, and I'm going to give us a little bit extra so we can tuck that in. So this is about 12 or 13 inches here, and we will want to add another piece, or you could use the end of this piece to connect them. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and work this all together. I'm going to go ahead and run these through and alternate which way my loops are facing. And I'm going to attach that onto my wreath. If you remember, I left the 2 channels in the center empty. So I'm going to go ahead and find that crossbar in my channels. If you can see that, there's that little crossbar there. I'm going to bring my pipe cleaners through, and I'm just going to twist that a few times, get that placed, and we've got our first loop in place. So now, keeping in mind that I want this loop to face this way, I'm going to come around, find approximately where I can attach this, so that it looks reasonably even. So that looks like a good spot. Spread it out again about the same length. There's another little crossbar under here. So I'm going to weave that in and get that to come through. Goes in-ish. This one goes out-ish. Find that channel in there. Pull a twist. Get this facing whichever way I want it to face. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this through and match it up with where we started on our first loop. Get that twisted. All of these are facing out-ish instead of alternating. Pretty good symmetry on our Enter If You Dare ribbon. That's pretty good. I think one of them with its head through the trap is pretty awful. Find a place where I can stick my pipe cleaner through. Notice what I did here are screwed together, but they're tiny little screws, if you can see all of those, but only on one side. I'm going to go ahead and find one of my center bars again, get my pipe cleaner through, get that twisted, and then place my rat exactly how I want it to look. What's going on? So I'm going to go ahead and cut a length and twist it around. So this gives us really good control on exactly where I'm going to put my mouse trap. I will just give it some twists. Be sure and tuck those wires under. A little bit of incorporating the mice and incorporating more pieces of cheese where a mouse is even chomping on a piece of cheese like this. Or I keep saying mouse, but really, honestly, I think they're big, ugly rats. It's great that their mouths are hinged. I'm going to go ahead and, just for demonstration purposes, I will glue that cheese in his mouth so that it stays. But I'm also going to do a little bit of faux painting on them because I want the cheese to look a little moldy and awful. I think, ooh, that's a good place to put this guy. He's on his side under this ribbon here, dead under there. This poor guy is missing his tail. Oh no. Well, that might be an interesting little bit. I don't see a detached tail now. Here it is. It's in the mouse trap, which is probably a better place for it to be. It might be really cool to go ahead and do a tail in the mouse trap that the rat is trying to get his tail out of the trap. I think that's kind of funny and morbid. Let's go ahead and find those center channels again. And the good thing about all the wires and the pipe cleaners and all of that is that you can move this around as you feel necessary. Ooh, that's going to be kind of fun. I think that's kind of hysterical. He's like, what happened? I'm going to go ahead and use pipe cleaners on each ankle to see if I can get him placed just right. I think that's so funny. Get him secured. Where is my tail? You know what? I think that over here, I'm sort of running out of space. I'm going to have one of these guys. I'm going to grab him by this ankle. Again, I like him mostly concealed in there, crawling out with his tail sticking through. It'd be great if I could put his whole torso in there, but I'm not sure I can. Oh, that's kind of creepy, kind of ugly. Both of his arms are caught. Poor thing. Going to go ahead and run my wire underneath again and get him in place. He's secured. Get it twisted. Tuck it in. Maybe the jaw as part of that is a bit much. What I can do on this guy too is I could have him stuck in the mouse trap while simultaneously trying to get away with the piece of cheese. So I've cut several wedges of this, and I'm also gonna add little points of texture by pulling some of it away as if though it's already been nibbled on multiple times by the rats. On the cheese, I have taken this sand dune color and I've taken just a little bit on another working sponge, and I'm actually sponge painting the sponges. I'm going to go ahead and pull out pieces, chunks. These sponges I got at Home Depot. So I think that concludes my gray color. Add just a tad. If the paint would actually come out, I want to do just a barely touching on that with some of this traditional burnt umber. Well, go figure. I think the most commonly used color in any paint situation. Just go ahead and add just a little bit so the color really pops and you see all that texture on the inside, which is really great. A little bit of green. Try it on the bottom first and see, oh yeah, that'll work. It's just the right shade of green to give us that feel of mold growing. It's a little aggressive. That is one moldy piece of cheese. This no longer looks in any way, shape, or form like a brand new, fresh piece of cheese. It has definitely seen better days. Of course, if it was a good cheese and I had this in the refrigerator, I would probably still eat it by scraping off whatever I thought, well, that can't be too good for you. All right. So I think that's pretty good. Those are some pretty good moldy pieces of cheese. There we go. Where that one was in the mousetrap, I had a big piece of cheese in this guy's mouth over here. Oh, that's a good place for that one. So now I'm going to go ahead and add a dollop of hot glue in there. Put my pipe cleaner in there. Let those cool to secure that piece to his mouth. That's secure. This one probably needs a dollop of glue as well. I love this guy over here biting his tail as if though he's already bitten it off or wriggled loose from it. And then he's trying to retrieve it before he leaves. Get that cured back here. Want to make sure that's showing as best we can. So that's pretty good. I think I'll go ahead and add a piece of cheese in here. Enter if you dare. So there we have it. Pretty wretched, if you ask me. Ready to hang on your front door or wherever you most want your guest to be totally grossed out. I think it might be fun to add this guy right in the smack dab center of my wreath. Meow.